Folks, hello and welcome to the Random Party Generator, the RPG live stream. And as you can see, oh, look at that. In media res. Hold on a second. Look,
Tim.
I was like the halfling, like Bilbo Baggins running behind the party of dwarves in the Hobbit. Just behind is none other than Tim Shorts. To my stage right is Rob Conley, Mr. Bat in the Attic. And I am Eric Tenkar. And if you're following Tenkar's Tavern on Blue Sky, it's not me. I'm just simply at Tenkar. So, Fugly, welcome. Paul, welcome. No joke. Oh, Bad Mike, the most loyal viewer. Watch out, Mike. You might get drafted. I know you're on vacation, but you could get drafted for tonight. So you better behave. We can pull you out of the bullpen. No Joe tonight. Joe has actual family obligations. As does Greg. He forgot and pre-committed to not. I guess not have his marriage suffer. So I was like, okay. And we don't count Matt anymore. We don't. Sorry.
Matt was lost long time ago.
Talk about something substantial. We could talk about the ocean view that you have when you're listening to us, Mike. He's at Padre Island? South Padre Island. Thank you. Great for the clarification. Yeah. So Bad Mike is vacationing. Damn it. So
very nice.
Yeah. So there's been a couple of things going on. Joe's in the toilet. No, Joe is always in the toilet, but that's only when he's on the show. That's the reason why he doesn't have a camera on, so he can step away whenever needed, and you never know he's gone.
Yeah, except he forgot his dirty secret. He had a Bluetooth headphone, so that is carried into the toilet with him. So
well, that was when he was DMing. And that is a true story, folks. There's no shade on Joe, but thank God it didn't happen on one of our lives. That's all I'm saying. It's bad enough it happened with a bunch of friends, but for it to be immortalized on the internet, no. I don't think any one of us would want that to happen. Joe is running up new rules for his 2E campaign.
Without a doubt,
Mike.
Yeah.
I think he was already running up.
What do you mean his 2E campaign? Not AD. We're not playing AD&D 2E. We're playing Joe the RPG.
Kind of inspired by 2E.
Sure.
But just make sure you're not attached to it.
How many times? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Huh? No, how many times did Joe said to me, "Oh, you can't go by that, Rob"? When I look at the book.
But and Rob, when he sold us on the new campaign back in April of 2023.
Oh, I got a record of that. Go on. I'll let you know when I find it.
What did he say he wanted to run?
AD&D 2E.
By the book. Remember? That was the word, the word of God. It was AD&D 2E by the book. And then we found that the book wasn't the book we thought it was. It was something completely different with never-ending house rules. And it's kind of like...
I think the first one that bit us in the ass was his whole thing about oil.
Oh, yeah. So flaming oil is not the flaming oil you think it is, because it isn't. You got to get like Greek oil, or
right, yeah, Greek fire or something like that. Yeah.
All I can say, Bad Mike, is when I decided to rewrite my rules, I respected my players and made up a name for the RPG. Hence the Majestic Fantasy RPG.
You respected your players, so you're saying Joe is not respecting his players. Is that what that little side shot was?
You can draw your own conclusions, Tim. That never stopped you in the past.
Oh. Now, I will say we're having a ton of fun in Joe's game.
Oh yeah,
No.
it's a good game.
But we are having some. I've spoken about this on some of my standalone videos. That there's the whole thing about random encounters and set pieces. The game stopped for a good 15 minutes as we were going. So what you're saying is no matter what we did, this dragon was going to show up.
Oh, right. The last one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's when the wizard pulled back the curtain, and we got to see like, oh, wait a second.
Yeah,
So,
it was part of the discussion on how much to use random tables to prep your games, and then Joe was taking such a hard line, and I asked the question: do you use random table during the game, like
yes,
random encounter table, stuff that
No, he doesn't.
everybody I know uses,
right.
and he apparently doesn't use random tables and
He
random encounter
hates
tables.
random tables. He thinks they are the antithesis of imagination.
I think that they are the mulch or the fertilizer for your imagination, because you take the little bits the table gives you and you turn it into something so much greater.
Absolutely. I mean, it was funny years ago. I never used random tables. I didn't like, I don't know. I guess I just was a little bit like Joe in that, I'll come up with my own stuff and everything. But these days, I use them all the time. And what I really like to do with random tables to really have fun with them is to, I get an expansive random table, but then I'll roll twice and then see how those two things would interact. And then it just comes up with its own unique, encounter. So,
Yeah, I have a couple, like for example, for my NPCs, Pathfinder Pathfinder or Pazio has for Pathfinder 1E a game mastery guide, and one chapter it is random NPC traits,
right.
and I like also the original AD&D 1E personality table. So what I did is I coded them all up in Inspiration Pad Pro and made a word salad thing out of it, and I rolled that. Now it's not like rolling a Traveler World where all these rolls supposed to make a stat block that you can use as is. No, but it makes something that I can look, oh yeah, that's interesting. Yep, that's my NPC personality.
Yeah.
So we started, our first group session was on April 2nd, 2023, and I have attended 33 sessions.
I'm
wow.
probably around there. I'd have to look at my Roll20 character sheet, because every time we get experience points, I date it and I indicate how many. But listen, I'm having a blast, but it's funny because again, I am like I would say the vast majority of GMs when I run a game. There's always some randomness, and that randomness keeps me on my toes. Because if you're not going to do random, in my opinion, then you got to keep a very strict sense of time, because everything needs to have a clock. So if you're not using random, then you need to know, well, at 12 o'clock, where is this group of orcs going to be patrolling? Where random tables take that need out of the way. Oh,
Not yet, Eric.
Oh, okay. I was like, Rob is throwing something up. He's doing a show and tell, and it was like, oh.
I'll let you know, Eric. I'm just prepping behind.
Well, what was he taking? What was his stance on? Was he kind of using the dragon encounter like as a quantum ogre kind of situation thing? It was going to happen regardless and happen wherever we went. I don't remember the discussion on the text.
The only thing that was random, I think, was the direction it was going to fly in.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
So, and listen, I'm not complaining necessarily about that, because, all right, yeah, we're killing shit and causing trouble and
Right.
grabbing attention. But even that means that the scouting party we found, as long as we were in where they were going to be there regardless of the time of day. And to me, that's what random charts take into account, unless you're going
Right.
to actually, do a time chart for every potential encounter. But at the same time, and it's a different perspective. For Joe, the randomness takes away from the creativity, and for me, the randomness forces more creativity because it makes me think outside of my own constraints.
Right.
Wow, I never would have thought of this. Now that the dice have decided this, what do I do with it to make this make sense? How does this fit? And that's where I find the challenge. And I find that challenge in the session as I'm running it. I mean, that's why I like it when my party, zigs instead of zags. I mean, as we said before, Joe should know by now that our party doesn't do anything head on.
No, I get that's what I keep on saying to her. We are not a frontal assault group. We're great skirmishers, but if we start doing phone booth fights, we're going to get our asses kicked.
Oh yeah, yeah. So for me, random tables. I may go a little too deep here, but
Right.
when I view, ever since I was young, and it wasn't until later until I read more and went to college and stuff. I knew how to put a name to it, but I always view it like you got all these people and all these creatures doing their business, and what could happen. You got, if you have 50 creatures and 50 people, the amount of interaction they could have is essentially random from our point of view.
Right.
And then later I learned about chaos theory, which basically is a way of analyzing different systems like in an ecology, and realizing that small changes in the initial condition could have big changes later on because of all these changes in how people interact. And of course, we're just like one or two guys running a campaign for these players as a hobby. So we're not computers. So the best way to do that and have a fun game is just to use a random table. And I always view, you just don't use any random table. You use random tables that capture how you're depicting your setting.
Right.
Either design your own, or in my case, I like a lot of the ones in Harn, so I use those, minus the cow encounters.
Oh.
Well, maybe not the minus the cow encounter, but I don't emphasize them as much. Or maybe re-roll them and only use them if they come up again. But anyway, but you use the right random counter that depicts the life of that area of your setting, and then I think it's accurate. That's how life is, because we're not God. We don't know everything. So to us,
that's it, Rob. I mean, like, listen, it was AD&D 1E. Yes, firstly, when you got the Monster Manual 2, that was that huge amount of encounter tables. I never liked them. I never used them because they never, for your wilderness travel, they never really felt like they reflected the areas of my campaign. But that's why you design these encounters for yourself. They got to be tailor fit. And therein lies a lot of the creativity. And again, to me, having to improvise because the dice just told me what happened makes it a different type of challenge for me. I embrace it.
Yeah. So to share some practical uses of random table that I use, if you can show my screen, Eric.
Yes.
So this is this showing. Yeah, I better zoom in. So this is what I'm talking about with the word salad. So I combine the AD&D persona table with the game mastery personality. So whenever I roll an NPC, I look at it and I see what grabs me given the NPC circumstances, and I might pick up, okay, this guy really needs a good night's sleep. Why does he need a good night's sleep? And that leads to the idea of how to write up this NPC and his circumstances. Because I tell you, when you're doing this, and I'll just briefly scroll from the beginning, just to show how many entries I'm writing for this one map. You kind of need help in order to bring the place to life.
Yeah.
And I still got all these entries to do before I'm done. And this is actually, folks, my last map. So when I get done with these entries, I just have to write some supporting chapters and I'm good. And if I can get out a shout out to Matt Finch, one last thing here. This is, I backed this Kickstarter a while, but this city encounter is really, really good.
Yep.
Because he gives hundreds of entries for daytime encounters, night encounters, and he gives a lot of possibilities within each encounter. So you get a description, some detail, and then three random elements. So there's a lot of reuse value in this. So if you guys haven't got this and you're running any kind of urban campaign, I highly recommend getting the Book of City Encounters.
Yeah, I've gotten several city encounter books. There's a few that are on Amazon, and they're but Matt Finch is very good. It's definitely a step above everybody else's that I've gotten. Because I've been working on the city campaign I'm running right now with the guys, and that's the one I go to. I kind of get them all out, but then I end up going, I'm just going to go with Matt's again because that's the better one.
Well, what about those old flying? Was it Grimtooth City Encounters or
no? Are you talking about the city
books?
books? Yeah, the city books. Oh yeah, those are fantastic. Those aren't random tables. Those are just like shops, cities, locations, and sites. Yeah. Oh, the good old city books. They're back there. Still my favorite. Some Flying Buffalo.
Yeah, there was a Humble Bundle that had them, and I snatched them. So now I have them all on PDF.
Yeah, they're fantastic. Yeah. But yeah, I didn't realize you hit 5,000 subscribers, Eric.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Like I just explained to Flint, I was watching a lot of videos on how to increase traffic and how to increase subscriber numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And I spoke with Joe about this too in our chat. But one channel is like, people don't realize that YouTube allows you to advertise your channel. And I was like,
do you have to pay for it?
Well, you do. But you can pay for as little as, I don't know, $10 for every 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And what it does, and one of the things you have to do is figure out what countries work best for your viewership and getting eyes on you. And it isn't just the English-speaking countries. It's places like Denmark, Finland, because I did a little research. And if you hit it at the right time, like if you're like Joe had a very huge organic growth spurt. Mm-hmm. If you hit the advertising around your growth spurt, whether it's small or big, you tend to emphasize it. So I was getting some good views on some videos. I said, all right, you know what? I'll throw $25 in for 2 weeks. And in addition to your growth it was getting, now I can also tell from looking at the numbers that when YouTube says you gain 260 subs, it's probably closer to about 200 from the advertising because the numbers don't necessarily line up. But you're getting viewers. So Joe and I, that contest was all on Joe's side, by the way.
I know.
That was all. I was just like, I first off, I know I like a good steak. We had we ate at a was it when you go to a Chinese restaurant, but they really have like that Japanese like cook in front of you deal. We did, yeah, hibachi. We did that today. My parents took Rachel and I out for our anniversary, which was a couple of weeks ago, and they had. You could have gotten steak, or you could have gotten steak, and I was like, all right, we'll pay extra for the
Right.
prawn. Makes a difference, but otherwise, I'll take a very good chicken dinner over steak most days. It's just how I am. But it motivated Joe, which is great because he had a dead spot for a while
You
in
did.
his
Yeah.
own creativity, and it's good to see Joe back in the saddle creating again. So I showed him, and he's like, "Wow, I got money sitting in my account that he's from his advertised that
Right.
paid ads for YouTube is paying him. So he's probably going to invest some of that in advertising his channel. I find a little bit goes a long way, but my first drop in it, my first investment was poorly spent because I didn't have any idea what countries to be aiming for. Because you're not just aiming for you're going to aim for countries for us that are gamers.
Sure. Yeah.
you know, so like Brazil,
I was gonna say Brazil would probably be a
you
good
know,
one to target.
Brazil, Finland, Denmark. These are countries that
Yeah.
non-English speaking countries that have a lot of English speakers that play role playing games. So
Sure.
you know, but
Is your blog through Blogger, Eric?
I blog through Blogger, and I am bringing back my Substack next week.
Um, okay, you can explain that in a minute. But
Yeah.
my reason I'm asking is because if you use their where their analytics, but they can show you what countries that are hitting your
Oh
blog.
yeah. No, I've looked at that, and I can look at that from my YouTube channel and get some insights, which is what I wound up doing. But like, you don't want to waste advertising to like Russia, Ukraine, Bulgaria. Well, Kazakhstan probably doesn't really care too much about old school role playing games. You
Right.
want to focus on like the countries that are going to be useful because when like my initial one I threw down $25 for like 2 weeks and I got literally I think like I don't know 75 subscribers over those 2 weeks from it. I'm like, well, that's expensive. Oh,
Hmm.
what the heck am I doing? But when $10 over 2 weeks gets you better than that, then you find a little focus. And that's one of did you do a video ad? No. What you do is Flint, you take one of your videos for, that's the other thing too. I kept on swapping it up. You can leave a video going for 2 weeks. I change it up almost daily. So if people are getting the same ad sent, it's a different ad.
Right.
Because when you look at your homepage on YouTube and you're looking at all your videos, and I didn't realize this, some of them are marked as ad or something like that. It's small, but it's there. And those are the ones that are popping into your feed because they've been paid for. They're advertised, but they're aimed at hopefully you're getting things that are sent to you because of your interest. Hopefully gamers are getting my stuff. But yeah, so I was probably able, if I was going to be getting like 200 subscribers in a month, I probably made it about 450.
Mhm.
For $25, $10
Yeah.
every 2 weeks. Um, it allows and it's more organic. This isn't like going out. By the way, there are folks that go outside of YouTube and literally pay for subscribers. They do it. Um, YouTube frowns upon it. You can do that for traffic. If you look at a website and you can see that like they lost 15,000 views in a month,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
because
YouTube
you,
expunged it or
and
whatever.
they expunge personal views. Marked as sponsored. Yes, fine. They marked as sponsored. I wish it was ad or sponsored, but yeah, it's marked as sponsored
Okay.
content.
So
So
can I interject something that's
yeah,
sort of related, but but it's kind
Rob
of
Rob Askew. Oh, yeah, we know.
okay. But I was looking at my site metrics, and for the last 30 days, my most popular post was storing your old school stuff from 2009, and it was about these paper mache boxes that you can use to store digest-sized
Oh, that's cool.
books, and it had over 1,000 views.
Well, see, now usually that means that like somebody on Reddit
Right.
was like, "Hey, oh, this is a pretty good one," and then it goes viral. When I did my video on the death of a certain repository of out of print PDFs,
Right.
initially that video got decent traffic. I was happy. Got like 1,000 views in the first day, and then it slowed down. And then about a week into it, it got like 5,000 views in one day because somebody apparently shared it somewhere else. And that's my most watched video of all time. I think
Oh, wow.
it probably has close to 100,000 views. But
So
can't
I
do
looked
it.
at the country breakdown for me, and yeah, it goes the United States, Singapore, Germany, in the last 30 days, mind you.
Right.
United States, Singapore, Germany, Brazil, Hong Kong, Netherlands, and United Kingdom.
Yeah, I
And
find all that stuff to be very interesting. You know, I mean, I'm looking at my channel, and my channel. Oh, I shouldn't have dismissed Bulgaria so much. All right, in the last 30 days,
Represented, huh?
my in top two. I guess is a top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the top 8. My United States, about 55%. Brazil, 19%.
Wow. That's
And then it drops. Canada, Denmark, United Kingdom, Bulgaria, Australia, and Germany. So, if you're going to focus on the audience that actually watches your content or reads your content, Bulgaria does get around, yes. Bulgaria. Those old school Bulgarian role players. I thought they were all still playing Napoleonics.
right.
But yeah, no, it's interesting to see. Like the fact that less than 60% of my traffic comes to the United States, I find to be very interesting.
Oh, that's pretty interesting. I'm still just surprised at how dense the popularity is in Brazil.
Yes.
It's I don't know why it's just surprising. I guess it's just unexpected.
I probably, and I don't speak Portuguese. I can't read Portuguese.
Right. Yeah.
Brazilian Portuguese, which is a different dialect unto itself. But those numbers say, well, if you're going to cater to another audience besides the English speaking, well, and I guess I'm guessing the vast majority of Brazilian players read and speak English for their
Right.
game. But still, it's interesting to see that that's the number 2 in my demographics.
Yeah, for the longest, well, for a time when I was putting out my micro adventures, there was a guy down in Brazil who was always translating them he was reformatting them into Portuguese and releasing them down there, which he'd always send me a copy. So that was kind of always fun to see what it looked like, and just to see it in a different language.
Yeah, that's what happened with Continual Light. It was translated into. I believe I know there's a Spanish version, there's a German version, and there might be a Portuguese version, which is awesome, right? I mean, and Continual Light was all open content. You could do with it as you go. So, and that's, by the way, that's part of the reason why I'm relaunching my Substack. And my Substack, when I was doing it, was really about focusing on all these video channels that are out there in the OSR. And we're still going to do that, but not everybody is like me and like does a video a day. Not everybody looks stupid. Whatever you want to call it. Passionate. I like to call it passionate.
There you go.
Other people call it stupid.
Right.
But I need something that also is going to motivate me to really be focused on getting Blades and Arcana out the door. So it's going to be, hey, these are the channels you should be watching, and here's the development journal of some of what got done in the last week, and do that weekly. Probably going to be on Tuesdays, or once it starts, I'll put a link up on the screen, and you can still find it out there. There's the 10 Cars Tavern Substack, but I figure I've got over 300 people that are subscribed to the Substack and haven't been getting anything. It's time to use those people to motivate me
Gotcha.
to get on track and not just do a haphazard. Mike, I don't want to know about the giant audience of teenage girls in Micronesia.
I don't even know what that means. That sounds like some sketchy shit there, Mike.
I don't know, man. If it involves tentacles and
Wow, you badly misspelled Micronesia.
yes, that's it. Thank you, Rob. I wasn't going to call it Lower Lanasian, but you could. That's perfectly fine. But yeah, it's a bit far off. Where I'm assuming Grammarly was not going to find it and correct it.
So when's your new edition coming out? There, do you guys have a timeline yet for that?
I would hope by WizardCon, which is in April.
April. Okay.
That'd
be cool. Great. I still have all the old editions of the first one. Even the fold out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then the one that then you guys had that. I think it was Mike. Was Mike the one sending out the
monster supplement?
Well, the one where you got like
a
folder with the rules and characters.
Yeah,
that's what the Legion folder. Yeah, I've got one or two of those still too.
So, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still have the folder. It's actually in a drawer in the house, so I can't pull it out and show it. But I had my hands on it about a week ago, so I know it's still around.
No, there's no centerfold. The Legion folders were very nice and very generous in what they gave you, and they even gave you a pad of map paper from Blackblade.
No, I must have it stored somewhere else.
So Mike, what you're telling us is that the D20 you're holding is either very large or very small. Because I'm not sure which, and I'm afraid to ask because nobody really needs to know, honestly. So there was an article out by my girlfriend Cecilia D'Angelo, whatever. The one that wrote the article for Kotaku talking about the gamer widow Gail Gygax and accused me of being everything and anything under the sun.
Was this was years back, was it?
This was at my first GaryCon, so that was
okay. Yeah. I do remember that. Yeah.
This is the one that started sending me questions that were pretty much do you enjoy it when you beat your spouse type of deal?
Right.
Like, yeah, I was like, I'm reading the questions, and I am posting the questions and the answers I'm giving on my blog, which she did not appreciate. But I don't have much respect for reporters for rag newspapers, which we tend to have in New York City, and Kotaku was and is a rag in our industry.
Right.
So, but now, you know who she's writing for? The Wall Street Journal.
What?
She's writing for the Wall Street Journal. I kid you not. I wish I was kidding. Hold on. Let me find it. Let me find the link to.
I guess we ask what section.
Well, we know the Wall Street Journal kind of plays fast and loose with the truth sometimes too. So I mean, she would fit right in.
Yes. No. Actually, no. I wasn't the Wall Street Journal. Sorry, it was Bloomberg.
Oh, Bloomberg. Right. Oh, okay.
All right.
Still a pretty.
Yeah, that's no slouch of a publication. Absolutely.
Yeah. So this is what she talked about. and she makes it seem like she's like sitting at a table with Chris Cox, but she wasn't. But she
Sure.
really, yeah, and she writes this article, which is supposedly about Hasbro's gamer CEO to focus on play after pairing film assets. It sounds like it's going to be an interesting article of facts, but then I see Cecilia D. Anastasio, and I'm like, er? I go, I know that name. Hold on a second here. Let me get this up real quick. Just so there's Cecilia's name, and I guess with the purging of Kotaku and its sibling news sites, she had to find a realist job. But the second paragraph, Cox likes to play from a red deck, whose aggressive cards can quickly deliver creatures and spells to batter an opponent. Instead, he got the more contemplative blue cards that would require him to patiently build a strategy to deplete his rival's health and win the game. He resolutely shuffled and drew his first hand. Are you writing an article for a newspaper, a news source, or is this kind of going to be like a young romance novel? It made me scratch my head, and there was a line in here where I wish I could find it real quickly. She talks about um, it literally is a line that shows that she does not know anything about gaming, and she's talking about this setting. I can't find it here, but in any case, I just could not believe that Cecilia. I find this article and it's written by Cecilia, and I'm like, oh, I'm sure she's going to be loving the fact that I'm going to be doing a video on this.
Right, probably.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah.
But apparently, the whole point of this article is, or at least the whole point that I think what was it, IGN or whoever it was took from it is that the next Baldur's Gate is going to be published by and developed by WotC.
Right.
But they're not gonna. That success of Baldur's Gate was because of the creators behind it, Larian. It
Right.
isn't. It isn't the IP that made that successful.
Exactly. No, it was they had the best team working on it.
Yeah.
Not
It was
not,
the IP, but a team who knew what they were doing with the IP, and a team who were just generally skilled in general. Because they have their own game, Deity or something like that.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I'm probably one of the 10 gamers out there that didn't play Baldur's Gate 3. So yeah.
Oh no, dude! I never played it, and I could. I could
Well,
run it
see,
on the Mac.
Are you ever going to play it?
I don't know, man. If it comes down off of like full price,
Well, I mean, I didn't play it at first because like it seemed like the selling point is having sex with weird things, and I'm just like, okay,
yeah, I
whatever.
want to have sex with a man bear.
Right.
I could go into Lower Manhattan and probably do that for free.
Then I've heard so much good things after that. It's sort of like, okay, but I guess I'm just not into computer games anymore, like it used to be.
Yeah.
Well, I got to say, Tim, I don't. There's a lot of quote AAA titles, and but in general, I have the games I like. You know, most of them are pretty niche, like Satisfactory, where you build a factory on an alien planet. But gotta say, Baldur's Gate 3 was worth my time.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about it. Yeah, absolutely.
So I would give it a try, Tim.
It's just one of those time sinks. It's like, do I want to role play on my spare time, or do I want to go do it? I got time for one of these things, not for both of them.
Yeah,
well, all I can say, it does have a finite end,
which is great. But the thing is, yes, younger me back in the older days,
Yep.
I would be jumping on that like a pig in shit
Yep.
because I'd be like,
Absolutely.
"Oh my god, this is going to be great!" And you know what? Older me, just recently celebrating 13 years of marriage. I celebrated 13 years of marriage because I'm no longer devoting my time to playing computer games and playing console games. You
Right.
know, my Xbox may get turned on once a year. My PlayStation probably hasn't been turned on for 2 years. And it's it's like saying if I turn it on, I'm going to become addictive, and that means I'm not gonna. It's like, oh, look at that! It's almost midnight. I haven't done a video yet, or put up a blog post. And what's more productive, being
Yeah.
creative or uh, playing a solo game? And I don't get the same joy out of the solo games anymore.
Yeah.
I,
You know,
I, I, I it's just sometimes they do that good of a job. And made my the paladin character that I played in the LARP and the star, and it was fun. I could role play as a paladin, and my choices, you know, Josh said I played him like I had a pole up my butt, and I did. But I could role play him how I liked him role playing,
Hmm.
and I dabbled with some other characters just to explore some alternatives. And yeah, the game will respawn. And they didn't do it as in the initial release, but they have it now. It's called the Dark Urge or whatever. But it allows you, if you really want to play an evil character, like some of the ones that you played over the years, Tim. You can go that route now.
What's that again? The last part you said?
Evil characters.
Oh, right.
Like when you and Brian played Tintoretto and Toy.
That was Josh and Brian.
Josh?
Yeah.
Tintoretto and Toy?
Yeah. That wasn't me.
It wasn't you?
No.
the
What's
misremembering
questioned there? Yeah. Yeah.
No, I thought the Tintoretto and Toy were the 90s campaign, and Josh would have been barely out of high school.
No, it wasn't me, bud.
Okay.
No.
And that's the one thing. Like we do remember our characters' names, right? It could be like,
Yeah.
yeah, this was from 1982. Oh yeah, Phasmir, my illusionist.
Right. Yeah. I could pretty much name my. I remember I was playing around the same time they were going through stuff, and I was like doing things against them, Rob. I don't, but I don't
Oh.
remember.
I have to ask Brian who he played with.
Yeah, you'd have to ask Brian.
I
Brian
can't
probably
believe it would be Dwayne.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, but
Dave?
don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. No, it's interesting though that they were.
And it was
hired
face
them.
to face too.
Yeah, that was when we didn't have anything else.
Yeah, there was no VTTs back then.
Well, you always came up with the coolest name, Tim, like Akitar.
Oh yeah, I don't. Yeah, I would just come up with weird stuff, whatever fit. Yeah. I was just so yeah.
Well,
If you turned on your Xbox once a year, you need a new model every time you turned it on. Pretty much.
ah,
The only reason I turn mine on is because that's what I run my streaming services through on my TV.
oh,
Oh,
yeah, okay.
makes
Yeah.
Yeah,
sense.
my TV has them built in, so
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
ours does
He-
too, but we just for whatever reason we just use the Xbox instead.
Okay.
I don't know why, but that's I guess to give it a purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a brief Xbox phase. I only owned 2 games, and both of them were Call of Duties.
Oh, that's right. I remember when you played Call of Duty. I can almost safely assure everybody out there, Rob was one of the absolute worst Call of Duty players ever. It was so great to watch him play.
And I never gave up.
And he didn't. He did not give up. He died willingly. Yeah, it was always fun to watch him. You'd hear, oh shit. And then you just hear this explosion in a random part, and then you'd see Rob's name scroll across the bottom.
Yeah, see, for my group, it was Battlefield. That was our.
Oh yeah, you were either
That's
Battlefield
actually
or Call
that
of
was
Duty.
actually my favorite because you can drive vehicles in Battlefield and you
Yeah.
couldn't do that in Call of Duty.
No, not
And
till the
I
later
am
ones.
happy to say that I'm almost to the final rank in Battlefield 4. Maybe take me 15 years to achieve it, but by God, sometime next year I'll
15
have achieved it.
years.
'Cause I don't play it constantly, but I do play it. And
Right. That's funny. 15 years. Good grief. So we return around more. Yeah.
Yeah, well, see, again, I mean, I'm afraid to get back into console gaming or computer gaming.
Mhm.
I haven't. I've been retired 8 years. I still haven't binge watched the Lord of the Rings trilogy yet, like I
Yeah.
promised I would do.
The extended versions, of
The
course.
extended versions because I haven't seen the extended, and I haven't done that yet. So how the heck am I going to, find time to do gaming? Like I said,
Right.
it's, and also I'd rather spend a Tuesday night with my friends gaming
Right.
than to spend it. I mean, even when I played like EverQuest 2,
Mhm.
we played it because we were enjoying the company of each other.
Right.
We weren't playing it like if you soloed or such if you had time to kill and you're all right, I gotta grind something out. But that wasn't the fun stuff. The fun
Right.
stuff was the role playing. The only time I enjoyed soloing was with the old EverQuest one, whatever they call it now, live.
No. Okay.
They had a racial server that was only the evil races and for PCs, and you could only speak to people in your own language unless you learned another language. So
Okay.
communication was all like you had to learn all the little pointing things. It was like
Oh,
wow.
geez, that's interesting.
Oh
Yeah, no, Rob and I, we got on Ultima Online. That was our game that we played, and it was so much fun when you had a group of friends on there and just doing dumb stuff and just trying to figure things out and just getting killed, but it didn't matter. You're just having a
right.
blast trying to figure things out. Yeah.
Well, ultimately,
so Tim, you remember the first time that you, me, and Dwayne actually got to play together?
Yes, that wasn't that it was the what was it? It was a computer game.
Yeah, Polar Radiance, the Gold Box.
Oh,
Series.
I couldn't remember if it was Eye Beholder or Pool of Radiance. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was Polar Radiance, and luckily combat was turn-based, so we could each sit down. We each got two characters
yeah.
in a 6-man party, and we could sit down and hot seat it.
Yeah, Rob had the only computer, so we would. It was funny. Whoever sat down really didn't actually do the playing. They just followed the instructions of the other two that were telling them what to do. We did that a lot. Yeah, that was a lot of fun too. Yeah,
If we were time shifted like 50 years, like we were that age now, I bet the first time we would play together, the three of us, would be with Baldur's Gate 3 because it has a multiplayer mode.
Yeah, I imagine Baldur's Gate 3's had captured a lot of that video game MMO for folks. But how much do you think the Baldur's Gate 3 fed into the actual role playing though too? Like fed people who weren't experienced, like maybe weren't into Dungeons and Dragons, but got into Dungeons and Dragons because of Baldur's Gate. Do you think there was much overlap in that way, or was it all pretty much people who played D&D went and played Baldur's Gate?
Oh no, there had to have been. It was bigger than that.
Oh no, yeah, but I don't think that the spillover. I think there were percentage-wise, there were more D&D players that played Baldur's Gate than there were Baldur's Gate players that said, "Now I want to try tabletop gaming."
Right.
But there was more than a few, and it did impact.
Oh yeah. Well, and listen, what WotC is aiming for because when they're talking about their VTT, how do they? you can play. It's like playing Baldur's Gate 3, and you can play your favorite Baldur's Gate 3 characters,
Right.
and they're gonna have the graphics for these characters. Well, they're gonna have that and the Transformers characters in there because Hasbro. But
Well, they got to justify the IP license.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
we'll license it to ourselves,
right.
thereby making even more money.
Yeah.
Well, the whole 2024 release seems like a big, huge thud.
Yeah, it seems mishandled. It seems like they shot themselves in the foot because they don't know what I understand that the game itself, the new rules, are being liked, but it's the feeling of the presentation, the art, the layout, the editorializing that people are just feeling lackluster about,
Right.
and
Like I
that's
said,
a shame. It's a shame.
I mean, I got a copy, but my game store, the Purple Fox here in town, it hasn't got a copy in it. And so they did this thing with the player's handbook, and it seemed kind of typical for a release.
uh,
But the release of the DMG doesn't feel the same way. I mean, and they wanted to have all their stuff in stock the day of their official release, like they did with the player's handbook. But apparently, they have to wait for the distributor to work the.
oh, they
whatever.
they don't have them yet because like I went to one of the stores down at the one in Grove City, Bell, the Bell's Comic that I go to. Rob and they have the copies all down there.
They do. Oh, maybe
Yeah.
they didn't call me yet.
And it was interesting because I was talking to him about the releases, and he said the player's handbook sold good down there. Said he did really well with it. He goes, but the DMG isn't selling.
well, you want to know why I think that is? It's because all the player-facing rules that have been changed are in the player's handbook,
Right. In the player's handbook. Yeah.
and I am betting that they figured that they would sell similar numbers of each book, but the reality is, there's nothing in the DMG that a player needs ever.
Well, isn't that where the Bastion rules
there's
are?
I'm sorry, Tim. Go on.
I was going to say, isn't that where the Bastion rules are at that I've been horribly hearing about?
Yeah, the Bastion rules in the DMG,
And that's what I don't understand because
it's more. It's the skill rule. All the stuff what you can do with your skill that used to be in the 2014 player's handbook isn't in the 2024 player's handbook, so they have to be in the DMG.
right. But what I guess what doesn't make sense to me is and I don't know this because I haven't read it and everything, but everything I've seen is like, so the Bastion rules are all in the DMG, but yet the Dungeon Master isn't allowed to do anything. There's like a hands-off territory to the Dungeon Masters. That's the player realm, and they're not allowed to mess with it.
All right, educate me. What is the best? What are the best? They sound
Headquarters, your headquarters, your party headquarters.
Headquarters.
I basically the only reason I saw because I saw the rules or not I didn't see the rules. I was listening to some of the YouTubers that were talking about it. And it's almost like the headquarters in like with the City of Heroes, Rob, that we used to play back in the day.
It's exactly like the headquarters.
And then the reason I could think why they're doing that and why they're doing the rules is for the online thing. So when the players go online, they can do their headquarters and then they can start microtransactioning all the doodads that go into your bastions or what. But it didn't make any sense. As I was like, if the Dungeon Master isn't allowed to affect it or do anything to it, why is it in the Dungeon Master's Guide? Why isn't it in the players player's handbook?
Then you just basically explained why to try to get the players to buy the DMG. But does the Bastion do anything except to have like a place to hold your trophies?
So I'm looking at the Unarcana. Okay, so you get a Bastion at 5th level, and you get so many points. You get so many Bastion points per Bastion turn, which is one turn every 7 days. And you can build it out, and there are special facilities that have in-game abilities. So when you're level 5, you can have 2 special facilities, and you have to pay gold for all this.
Okay.
So let's see. They can have their Bastion issue special orders, like they can craft something, empower a temporary empowerment on the player, harvest a resource, maintain it, recruit hirelings, do
Oh,
research,
it's
trade.
all stuff for the VTT.
Yep. That's what it didn't seem like it was for the tabletop. It seemed like
Yeah,
this was for the
this is
VTT.
you can have your automatic crafting going on, and the reason why the DM is hands off because this is all going to be handled by the VTT engine.
Right, exactly. That's the only reason I could see why it was
And
included.
this is like metagaming.
Right,
This is totally taking it away from you are pretending to be somebody else to you're pretending to be somebody else in a game.
right.
Okay, well, again,
Well,
bring it
here's the
to
thing.
MMO.
Well, first of all, the whole subsystem isn't anything particularly new. I mean, for Pathfinder 1E, for the you remember this series, the Kingmaker series?
Oh yeah, I still have it. Yep.
Yeah, and remember they had that subsystem where you can they had rules to tell you how to build out your kingdom.
Yeah, but
They,
it wasn't hands off though. It wasn't like like the GM couldn't affect it though.
it doesn't say the DM can't affect it. It doesn't say anything like that. It's just
Are you talking about
overly
the
mechanic. It's very mechanical.
Yeah. Well, I
So
guess all the YouTube videos that I watched, and granted, you take that for what it's worth. They specifically said that was part of was I guess included somehow that it was specifically stated in there somewhere maybe that it wasn't allowed to be affected. But again, I'm getting this from different sources, so I'm not really sure if it's true. But like I said, it just seemed like it wasn't because in Kingmaker you're actually trying to build a kingdom and you're trying to create it, which makes more sense than just sort of having a secret headquarters. That's just going to be more VTT. Not, I guess if they built more of, instead of calling it the Bastion system and called it maybe like the I don't know, kingdom system where you're building your own kingdom within 5e, and they almost did like a realm type of thing, then that would make it I think more, I don't want to say playable, but playable.
well,
Like on tabletop.
it should work like a traveler starship. I mean, we're used to. I mean, a starship is obviously a concrete item, and while Bastion a little bit more nebulous, but
Right.
functionally, when I read the Unearthed Arcana version of the Bastion, the initial version,
Mm-hmm.
it reads like for fantasy the traveler starship rules and the trade and commerce rules that go along with running a starship. Except, it's fantasy and it's depicted as a hideout or a castle or a
Right.
stronghold, and just like you can do certain types of you can do piracy with your starship, you can trade with your starship, or you can be a haul around do mercenary activities with your starship. Here you can do trading, crafting, research, and it's supposed to. And it says in the initial I'm reading the Unearthed Arcana article, folks. It is up to the DM to decide whether bastions are available in a campaign. Bastions are best suited to campaign that allow characters to return to their bastion during intervals when they're not actively adventure. There's no need to choose to be going on with adventures and commanding a bastion. Bastion can do both at once. Bastions intend to be havens for characters who own them, though random events may test a bastion from time to time. See the bastion event section. Oh, and here they're getting a little bit autocratical on the DM's authority. The bastions can be destroyed in only one or two ways. See, follow the bastion facility, and one of those ways is the players don't maintain them, and because I've already read that, and let me see what the other way. Well, if they issue no order. They can give it up at any time. Yeah, so the impression isn't so much it's outright said that the DM is forbidden. It is very much designed to hand it to the player.
Right. It's not forbidden, just discouraged.
Yeah, but it. I mean, listen, when we played AD&D, right? What was one of the things like? Well, yeah, you can have a headquarters or you can have a stronghold, but you can get robbed, you can get raided, you can get assassination attempts if you're
Mhm.
able to be found. And it sounds like to me like the Bastion is supposed to be, well, this is your safe space. When you're here, you're not.
Right.
Your character can't be. The DM can't steal your shit if it's here, and the DM, as long as you're doing everything by the rules, you're not gonna get any assassination attempts or any of this stuff. Everybody in here is it's your walled garden, which listen, they're selling it. They know the market they're selling it to. It's not us.
Right.
And so
Exactly.
that's
Well, to be fair, I'm not being fair to Wizards, but to be fair to people who use 5e, the Bastion system isn't going to break if you run it the way you think it should be run, where it's an in-game place and it's subject to in-game events, and it's just as much as part of the campaign as anything else. It's just to me, it's just like the encounter building rules in D&D 4e. D&D 4e did not break because you ignored the encounter building rules in favor of how you want to run your campaign.
Well,
but Rob,
using 4E to defend it, Rob, is not a good.
no,
Well,
It's not a
4e
good
it's the biggest one where I see a lot of referees using 4e, and they seem to be slaves to using the encounter building rule. And if
well,
you didn't use the encounter building rule, it was like, oh, you're
Right.
not
how
using the
could it be
encounter building rule.
balanced? If you didn't use the rules, it won't be balanced. You can't do that. But here's the
And
thing.
this is despite the fact that the 4E DMG explicitly said that there were aid, not a rule like the combat rule and initiative and combat type of rule.
Right. But Rob, now my experience with 5e players is, and this is just from looking online, reading forums, conversations on Facebook and such, that 5e players are less about house rules and more about run as written. That's just been my experience. So
I'm
yeah,
sorry, I didn't hear the last part. The 5E rules are more
5e
about.
are about for the players. 5e players are more about running the rules as written. They aren't house rulers like our generation. The rules as written are written in a certain way because that is the intended way. If you start changing stuff, things are going to break. So I had enough trouble in my old days changing rules with AD&D and 2E with players going, that's not in the book. I can't really see players expecting Bastion to work a certain way and then go, well, yeah, you got broken into and your treasure hoard is gone. But that's not how Bastion works. Well, that's how it's working now. Players aren't. You're going to have some very unhappy players. I'm not saying that if you were running 5e with old school gamers, we'd expect something like that. But again, the new school, the idea is this is a safe space. So when your characters are in between adventures, you're not going out whoring like it's like, hey, we'll do the carousing rules. No, no, no. This is give orders. Your built-in pub, which by the way, the players have a built. I just looked at a page about it. About you can have a built-in pub where your hirelings can obtain rumors. Wouldn't I don't get it. It's making this whole system less role play, more mechanical. But again, that is where 5e finds itself going in many ways, but at the same time, their adventures are turning to less, from what I've read, are less about killing things and taking their shit as opposed to your characters, I don't know, growing, making coffee, whatever.
Oh,
I
I
mean,
guarantee you, the majority of 5e are all about the combat. Don't
well,
forget, I run a 5e group every
you-
month,
but you don't
and
run.
they are our age, and they are just total
But
combat monkeys.
but Rob, are you running your adventures or are you running Watsy adventures?
Well, I started out running it like I do, but unfortunately, it wasn't the players. It wasn't the issue. Wasn't with the players. They had fun with that session. The issue was running once a month. So what I'm doing now is I'm finding adventures I like, and I'm weaving a campaign,
Okay.
but I'm running it more like how I did my LARP because I'm constrained by the fact that I'm running one session by a month. So right now, I managed to rope the players into
Dark Tower.
Dark Tower.
going to this.
Yeah. Again, Rob, are you running any Watsy written adventures? Any not classic TSR, not Judge's Guild?
No,
No.
I'm not. I mean, the only one I would have ran if they would have taken the nibble is the Castle of the Mad Archmage. And didn't take the nibble. So,
Okay.
Well, that's not a bad thing.
the Castle of the Mad Archmage is perfectly fine. It's a
Yeah,
mega dungeon.
I know
Right.
exactly what it is. Yeah, yeah. It's a
Yeah, I
funhouse
mean,
dungeon.
it's
Yeah.
it's in that brief period when they got whatever they got out of their system with the first couple ventures with the storm giants and the dragons. Then they started doing homages to classic ideas and classic trope with Saltmarsh, and which was good.
Right.
And,
They did.
and
They did a very good job with that. Yes, they did. Yeah.
and then the Mad Armage was a pretty nice one book mega dungeon.
But their recent stuff has been lackluster. And no, folks, I don't buy it, but I do read the reviews. And I'm reading reviews from 5e players, not from OSR players. So, I mean, the when you have no farm team and when you have very few creatives on staff, when you're mostly farming this stuff out to freelancers, you don't get to build up your own talent. And
Right.
Watty isn't looking to build up that creative talent, which is a
Yeah.
shame.
And I go into like I really like when they were doing like the anthology type adventures where there's like 5 or 6 within the books, and I go in wanting to like them. I really do. I don't give a shit if it's 5e or not. I want
Right.
to see if they're good adventures and whatnot. Then they had that one a while back. It was the one that and I can't think of its name. The one that did the different cultures within it.
Not the Radiant Citadel.
Is that what it was with that one?
I think
Yeah,
so.
that's probably it. And I went in there wanting to see what it was like, and they had people from that culture writing an adventure about that. And what I found, there was definitely a couple good ones in there. There was some interesting. But what I found is it was almost as if they were trying to tell a story instead of trying to write an adventure.
Right.
And I could see, and I don't blame the writers for this. I blame the editors and the creative directors on this because that's for them to guide them on this. Some of the guidance that they got, I think they got into the part where it was like they didn't want to edit too much out because I watched that one guy on YouTube who's sort of like a sensitivity director, and I should stop watching him because all he does is piss me off. he just some of his ideas are so fucking stupid and just like if you want to make something completely inane and take all the value, just drain the value, or yeah, just listen to that guy. I can't think of his name, but he
So,
works
what
for
was the specific issue though? What he was having
well,
people write?
no,
Having
what I was getting to is like I think they were so afraid to direct people from different cultures because they were afraid to offend them. Like I said, like kind of deal. But then I saw it happen in the other anthologies. So then I'm like, okay, it's not just that specific thing. These people are just not good at their job at on how to doing these creative of the creative director, because I should say they focus more on the story aspect, which is okay. 5e does have a strong story driven aspect to it. Always has been. I don't have a problem with that. But you have to feed the adventure too. And they weren't feeding the adventure. They were feeding the story they were trying to push.
They weren't creating situations for the players to experience. They were creating stories that the players act as witnesses to.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
See,
Yep.
that's what I mean. I wish I could write faster and get more sandbox adventures out. But that was the secret to success to the two I did make. Well, the one's still in draft form, but the two that I have in concrete form is that I thought of it a situation. I don't think how it could have. There's strong possibilities of what could happen, but basically the situation is what it is. The players are thrown in the middle of it.
Right.
What do you do?
Yep.
If you don't do anything, well, the demon wolf is going to have his way. And if you do something, well, if you do this, the demon wolf is going to be here.
Right.
And,
but your adventures though, Rob, are very they need an advanced GM to run, especially the demon wolf, because you're dealing with a whole lot of different factions and you're dealing with like different situations that can come on. So you need more of an experienced GM for that. Yours could though I think definitely would be very easy to streamline it and actually make it even a con adventure though too, and they were actually really fun because we've done it before back in the day. But you present those things where WotC does. It's very strange. They always talk about railroading and everything. Well, this is railroading on the kind of the worst way. Like you said, you're basically a passenger in the train watching the pictures go by.
Right.
You're not really, your interaction.
Well, we experienced this with the Dragonlance modules. I mean,
Exactly.
It was a great story, but rather than just setting up the situation and let the players deal, like, okay, they're no gods. Okay, let's set up how the players could find, I think there's the disc or something, the disc of Mizkiel.
There was very specific things that had to be done or the adventure stopped.
Right.
And you had to emulate the novel or it didn't work.
Right. You couldn't have PC death because you're playing characters from the
and that was my first lesson in that kind of thing, especially using an IP, because when we tried to run those adventures, and I think Rob, you were the one running it, half of our group had read the novels and half of our group hadn't. So you had the people that, like, I had read the novel, so I kind of wanted to reenact the novel and see how cool it was. Well, the other ones who didn't read that, I want to do that.
Right.
They wanted to go and do, and it just did not work. And it did not. It was a big lesson. And then I just found out, and I didn't realize that, but the modules, the adventure modules, were written before the novels.
Really?
Yeah. I think Joe said that, we did a little research on it because I didn't know that. And then Joe did more research, and apparently the adventure modules were written before, and then they released the novels first, and then the adventure module second. So,
they come to think of it, they wrote the Desert of Desolation before the Dragonlance stuff, and you know how we tried to run it for the Lanap campaign, and
right,
we just kind of bailed after the second one because it was just getting so railroady.
It was, yeah. I mean, I
remember them being cool and awesome.
They were cool and awesome.
Disappointed.
Yeah, there was very specific things that had to be done, or you had to follow a storyline, or it just really didn't work. And that was one of my favorite series when I read it and I loved it, but I never played it or played in it until you ran it like a couple years ago.
Yeah, and I think the key to use the Desert, knowing what we know now, the key to using the Desert of Desolation is to use the individual location, but just don't use the overarching story. Just
Right. Well, you could
simple-
you could use the overarching story, but you'd have to be you'd need to allow a lot more flexibility on getting through it, and
Right.
allowing more paths and stuff like that. So, but
and
that's
each but the locations themselves are kind of neat.
yeah, they are cool. They are fun, like Egypt type model. The
Yeah.
oldies. That's what made them so fun. Yeah, I think so. Did you ever go in that, Eric, or run that, or go through the Desert of Desolation series?
I didn't own that too. I had my non-gaming period, so
Gotcha.
no, I never ran it. I just kind of when you're reading it for the sake of reading it, knowing you're never going to run it, it's a
Right.
different experience.
Yeah. No, I get that. Yeah. But yeah. So cool, awesome, and disappointing. Yeah.
I mean,
But the interesting, just to add on to our 5e thing too. So I where I work at, we start. I mainly deal with adults, but we do have we're starting to deal with school age kids now, like the teenagers to 13 and up and everything. And I actually helped them out get their gaming group started there a few months back. I ran a game for them, and then remember.
Oh God! I hope he didn't use the Comar Forest.
No. This was. I mean, we're talking about running a game for 20 adolescents, Rob. So there was no real structure. All I did.
Oh, did you have a caller? Did you have to do callers?
No. Actually, yeah, it was a complicated thing because all of them are just like all over here and over there. So I actually had two people running one player each. So there was 10 player characters, but two people would run each character, and that made it interesting dynamic. And then I just brought like big things like this with me, and like would slam it down on the table, and then they would. Remember a few years back when Dollar General had all those dice for sale for $1 each?
$1.25 actually.
Yeah, I had this.
Still sell them on Amazon.
Oh, do they? I had this
brilliant
idea years ago about like I was going to get them, and then I was going to get what's that stuff you pour in, and I was going to make an end table and just fill it up with dice, and then put that epoxy. And make it like an
epoxy resin.
And I never did it. So I still had all these dice. So I went there at night. Everybody got their own set of dice. But if it was a real important die, I got one of my big D20s out, and they had to roll that. Well, anyway, so they've been running this gaming group now for, I don't know, 6 to 8 months now. And now it's shifting to the new edition. And I've been asking the kids, it's like, so you guys interested or looking into the new edition? No interest.
And what are they currently playing?
5e.
5e.
5e has now become their first edition D&D. They don't want to switch. That's what they're used to. That's what they like. That's what they want to play and continue to play and everything. They don't want to go to a different, even though, I guess this newer edition it's different enough to be different. That's about it,
I know. I mean, like, for example, quaffing a healing potion is now a bonus action. But imagine if you have 24 of those details like that, and you're trying to remember them, and you keep mucking them up, and it's like, it leaves you with. When I saw that, when I read the player's handbook, back there, I said, oh, that's exactly what's going to happen. There's going to be people who adopt this wholesale. But most people who are existing player are going to look at this, and I don't want to remember all this new stuff.
Right, and admittedly, these are all the very casual. These aren't hardcore gamers at all. These guys are just they're doing it. But I have a feeling a few of them will probably keep playing it afterwards. But it's just funny seeing the attitude of a new edition, and like even the thought of it, they're like, no, we learned the 5th edition, we don't want to. And then they don't get caught up in the WotC stuff or the politics or the different things like that. They just know the game that they like, and that's the game that they want to play.
Yeah, I've seen that happen enough times.
Yeah.
And actually, the monthly group is sort of little like that. They're not gun ho about getting into the 2024 edition because they have ideas, still have ideas for the characters they want to play with regular 5e, and
Sure.
they have very nuanced ideas of taking this feat, this subclass, and they're starting from scratch. They feel like they start from scratch when they do use the 2024 rules.
Do they have opinions, Rob?
Yes, they have opinions.
They have opinions. This is Dave's group, correct?
Yeah, this is Dave's group.
Are they all power gamers like Dave? Do they all want to like get the ultimate build and probably research it to no end and try to get the build?
Dave is definitely on the outlier of the group, but yes, most of them though I would say are particular. I wouldn't call them all of them power gamers, but the majority of them are picky about what they want, what they play, and what they want to do.
They sound fun.
I don't know. They're. I mean, Tim, they're all our age, so
I know that. Yeah, there's a lot of people my age I don't talk to. No, I know Dave. Dave's a good guy. Yeah, I like Dave. He's one of our old time gaming guys.
Great in the weekly campaign.
Eric, he's fun because he's just one of those guys. He's one of those guys who gets so into the game, like he almost loses it. Like if something good, I mean, he's the one who would like stand up at the table and yell and do. I mean, just because he would just get so into the game.
Right. All right. He immerses himself.
Oh yeah. The only thing.
Yeah, and I think he misses our games, Tim, because I've been with the month. I in addition to refereeing them once a month, I played previously in 2 different campaigns with them, and they're kind of like they care a lot about combat and interesting combat. And
Right.
Dave, while he likes combat as much as he really likes combat, but he really appreciates being a merchant in my weekly game and doing all the role playing.
Yeah.
While still being himself like he always is.
Right. Yeah.
So, but the weekly game is a lot of fun. And I'm actually getting good use out of it for my Majestic Fantasy Realm because I'm actually, they kind of got into an area where I haven't written up, and now I'm writing it up and I'm incorporating, for the first time, I may actually able to incorporate some actual play stuff into the draft. So.
Oh, very cool. Good.
Yeah.
They say I played 1E until the RPGA made us use 2E. Played 2E until the RPGA switched to 3.
The RPGA,
I haven't.
damn organized play, and it's corrupted the hobby.
Yeah.
Organized play.
But
What was the name of the organization when they were trying to organize play for the OSR?
Targa.
Oh yeah.
What was it?
Targa.
That's right. That was
Chicago Wiz was big.
Chicago Wiz. Yeah.
He was one of the movers behind it.
I do remember that.
And it fell apart rather badly. Obercarcosa.
Oh, was that what was it? It was.
It was one of the, either it was the beginning of the end, or it was there was enough debate when then Carcosa hit, and some people thought it was obscene, literally obscene, and some people appreciate its artistic merits, and so the Targa effort collapsed.
Well, I mean, trying to organize a bunch.
Well, yeah, and additional problem with Targa wasn't just that; it was the fact that it's beyond hurting cats. The OSR has a number of flags. All right, it might be one generally large movement, but within that movement, there are many flags, large and small.
It's almost like the antithesis of the OSR at the time. That's not what we were about.
And to tell people how, and this is how it was interpreted. I was only coming into the OSR at that point.
And was real early on,
and active in blogging and reading all the blogs. And it occurred to me, I saw it and I was like, wait a second. I'm not saying that the OSR is an anarchist organization, but it is certainly a lot of people with differing thoughts of what the OSR is.
A lot of people with opinions.
Opinions.
Yeah.
Strong
Yeah.
opinions.
A lot of people with opinions, and in general, people get along because
Yeah.
you're not always spewing your opinion to somebody else. Targa was going to tell you, a lot of people, what their opinion should be. And
Well, it wasn't that they felt like they needed to tell people what their opinion is, but it was more like, okay, if you're going to have an organization like Targa and you're going to do activities, then you're going to have to make a decision, i.e., have an opinion on what those activities are going to be about. And if you don't like, so if you're out, if you're trying to, if you don't like
Right.
those activities, you're going to say, this is bullshit. I don't like this. I'm not going to participate. And that's the problem with organization, formal organization. There's a vision. You have to pick a vision
Right.
that you're going to spend your time on. Therefore, something is going to get excluded. The nature of the beast.
look at that. I did an article on Targa
Oh
10
God.
years ago.
And that was remembering Target.
And I was remembering Targa.
Jeez. I didn't really. Yeah, that's way, way back. Yeah.
Yeah, when I first became aware of the OSR in 07, I quickly perceived that there were at least two major groups. There was the Gygaxian D&D group, and there was the Gonzo group, led by Jeff Brents. And then the Gygaxian group was
Right.
led by the people who
Wasn't there a third group though too? Like the what was that other guy's name that was just he was kind of like he was a jerk.
Many of them were.
No, but he had a big following though too. It was real early on. He was like the boy, I cannot.
Did he make a clone? Or did he
No.
just write adventures?
I don't know. His was more of like a philosophy.
Oh, jeez.
If you say his name, I'll remember, but I can't think of. But it was like they had very. I mean, there was like zero tolerance for any variant of the philosophy. So if you weren't with,
did you know where? Do you remember where they hanged out? Was it Dragonfoot, N-World?
They had their own forum. No, it wasn't Pundit.
No, Pundit did not deal with D&D. He was trying to promote Forward the Adventure.
Does this person have the Paladin in Hell as one of their icons or something like that?
I don't. Boy, my D. If you say the name, I think I would remember the name, but I can't. I don't know of him other than I think he had his own forum.
Okay.
Ron, was there a Ron? For some reason,
wasn't the Dungeon Delver, was it?
No, he
has a podcast now.
Yeah. By the way, Targa has its site. It's still up. So
is it still up?
Oh my gosh!
Yes.
But
you too can Targa.
Yeah. Flashback material.
So the whole problem with the OSR from the get-go is that the essential hack that completed the OSR was figuring out how to leverage the D20 SRD into a retro clone. Then you could do just about 95% of what you need to support classic D&D. But guess what? Anybody can look at the D20 SRD and make a retro clone. So if you didn't like what the Osric guys did or the Basic Fantasy guys did, you can just say, dude, I'll just make my own.
Right.
But it helped to have a lawyer do it first, huh?
Yeah.
let him go out into the sea there.
Well, but not only that, it was published in the UK. It was
published out of the country too. Yeah.
Right. So exactly. there were multiple levels of protection involved in Osric. And oh my God, I think I talked with Stuart about that years ago. And when they got hit with what was basically a cease and desist from WotC, it was like the American officer who told the Germans nuts,
Right.
like, nuts. We're not surrendering to what is nuts. And they went, yeah, go screw. Like Rocky's like, what do we got? What? You know, like, and then Monty backed off because they had no ground to stand on.
Right. They couldn't bully him. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and don't forget, it wasn't just Ostrich. It was Chris Gonnerman and Basic Fantasy.
Right.
They came out at the same time. I don't know how much. I don't know. You know what? Chris doesn't really talk much on social media, and I don't know if he got hit with a cease and desist or anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. Last time I saw Chris on social media is when oh god, that guy was cloning Basic Fantasy, and and publishing it on Amazon, whatever you're calling, like
Yeah, and Basic Fantasy is open contact, but that was just crass what he did.
I did not know about the cross dressing part there, Mike.
Oh my god,
that's very specific fact about him. I guess you remember that one. Yeah, I just remember he was just like anybody who would like question him or challenge him on a point. He would just act like he had he had a lot of followers.
If you disagree with me, I'll take these.
You are the lowest moron possible, Yeah.
And he's sure he was a fan of D&D.
No, I don't know if he was a fan. I just remember he came out and there was like you were saying, the Gygaxians, the Gonzo people, and then this guy had a very strong presence. I'm not going to say he was
I'm going to
Zoistar.
pull out a name, and I know he's not D&D.
No.
Does his name happen to be Brian Gleisman?
No, not that one.
Right.
I can't read that, Rob. I can't see
Hold
it.
on, I'll unbig Rob. Yeah, no.
Yeah. No, it wasn't him. I mean, if somebody says his name, it's actually
he used to be on the RPG site and debating it, and he had a following and very strong opinions. But he wasn't what you would call OSR, but he was kind of OSR adjacent.
Gotcha.
All right.
Mike seems to know who I'm talking about, but I don't know if he knows his name.
It wasn't like named after a tennis ball.
Come on, Bad Mike. If you know his name, either get on and spell it or type it
I'm looking for it.
Oh, okay. Should he be worried now? Whoever this unknown person was?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I haven't heard anybody talk about him or hear from him
So funny story about this guy. He was just debating everybody on the RPG site, and he was just talking up smack about his book. And
you bought it though.
Yeah, and I went on to Lulu and I bought it, shot a picture of it, posted it on the forum, and say, "So let's talk about your RPG." You know what? All his posts stopped after that. I don't know what happened, but I never got my satisfaction from buying this book. Not saying that was a healthy thing to have want satisfaction from, but I'm just saying I bought the book preparing to debate him, and he disappeared on me. Disappeared on everybody.
Huh.
And I had that same guess, but I just don't know.
Yeah. I can't think of that either. But yeah, but it was interesting when I came into it. Like Rob showed me all this stuff. Like this was back when it was still, I don't know, it was 2007, 2008. Rob showing me the different sites, and I'm just like, ugh. I don't know if I want to get involved in this and everything. And actually, because we were still playing GURPS, I think at the time. And then it was when I started reading through Castles and Crusades, and the thought of being able to roll a D20 again just was like, you know what? Yeah, I kind of want to see where this goes. So,
and don't forget, you were writing poetry and trying to get published and stuff, and it didn't seem very happy with it. And I was encouraging because you kept making this great stuff for us, and it was a way to share some of your RPG writing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I wasn't thinking about that until later on, until we got into it later. Yeah. Until I found what was it you call it back then? The RPG, what was it? Drive-through? No. what was it back then?
RPG Now.
RPG Now. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
There was also Your Games Now. That didn't last.
right. I remember that when I joined that one. But
Did they shut their store?
Your Games Now shut down a long time ago.
I was gonna say, I think years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I still get emails from this one store that I joined 12 years ago that doesn't work. It's not up anymore, but it still sends me email, but I can't unsubscribe to it. So all I do is get sales every morning saying they made no sales.
You've made
Oh,
no
no.
sales.
I'm like, thanks for the reminder every morning.
You get nothing.
Nothing for
I gotta
you.
say, itch.io is kind of disappointing. I only got 3 sales and made $20 off.
It's a weird little thing. I think itch.io is very good for like what I would call like the zine scene, some experimental stuff, throw it out there, let's see what works, and then you can alter it and whatnot. But then I think it's more of a platform to build off of, and then like when you're ready to really launch the product, then you kind of build from there. However, if you go on itch.io, and let me tell you, this guy has it's based off of there. It doesn't really cost anything. You can donate to it, but he has this little generator that'll generate dungeons. It'll generate these cool little villages.
One page dungeon.
Yeah, he has a Patreon and
not one page dungeon. No,
he does the village generator. He does the cave generator.
Oh, Wataboo. Okay, yeah.
Wataboo.
Yeah, he does all that.
And
his stuff is so good. Yeah, and he keeps it. He's always improving it, and it's just fantastic the work he does.
Now, I only have a limited Patreon budget, so I have to shift it around, and especially I need art for my project. But when I had a few extra bucks, I supported his Patreon. So I strongly encourage folks, if you like his stuff, go on his Patreon and throw him some bucks every month.
Yeah. Yeah, he does some great work. Yeah, he's the best find I've on itch.io that I've found
by far.
Yeah,
I'll give you the link to his Patreon, Eric. How do I do that? Private chat. Yeah, right there. That's his Patreon.
Yeah, I couldn't remember his name.
Guy. Yeah, he asked for $5 a month. And his stuff is well worth it. And he's always improving.
Yeah.
Right. And by the way, folks, just for those that are small publishers or thinking about getting into it, his maps are licensed for you to use if you want to use it in your product.
And you can export them in either PNG or SGV format.
Yeah, they're great. Yeah.
And if you're SGV, you can edit them afterwards.
And not encouraging lazy GMs, but you can actually take his maps, put them in a chat GPT, and say, write me an OSC adventure for levels whatever, for this many characters, give it a theme, and it will give you a quick dungeon.
Right.
I've done it and rewritten it, but it's great for inspiration. It's like, I never would have thought of that. That makes no fucking sense. But go in and rewrite it. Yeah. But it's especially if you're at crunch time, it's awesome.
Well, if you don't mind, let's give them a little demo.
No.
Uh-oh. All right, Rob,
I'll get the share up.
Get your
share up.
Joe's turning around right now. He doesn't know why, but he's twitching.
I better move this over here. Okay. Yep. So this is it. And you can right click and you have a bunch of options. You can, like this is a huge city. And you can do this export either as PNG, SVG. I have to read up again what the JSON's for. That's usually for web stuff.
Oh.
And, but the nice thing is you can do some mild editing.
Yep.
And now, the only thing I ever been disappointed by, and I tried to convince them, see those little things I'm grabbing to alter the geometry? I tried to convince them to let me have a way you can import points on this. That way you can take an existing city map and use this so you can make the geometry more your own, because I'll tell you, it's really tedious trying to drag all these points around to conform to something you're trying to make. But you can change the map style. They got presets like black and white.
Right.
Oh, by the way, Mike found the name. That's right, Alexis Smolensk.
Yeah, I remember Alexis. It wasn't him that I'm thinking of, but I know exactly. I know Alexis. Yeah, I didn't talk to him too much, but every now and then we. Yeah, but definitely he had very strong opinions about how things should be. Yep, absolutely. Yep.
And,
but I mean, he never bothered me though. He just had his own way of thinking. He's very.
By the way, folks, when you're using these programs from What About You, save. So
yes.
If you're in doubt, save it.
Save it
because you can't go back.
No, because it'll.
No, you can't go back. They're randomly generated. So you can pick elements that that you want. You can omit the grid. You can make the title, the scale bar, the compass. So you got you can show. It will generate districts for you with names. If you want a simplified view of the city and just show the city blocks, you can have complex buildings. There's a part here. Oh, so if you don't like here, you keep generating. I don't want any water city. So you turn off the water and then you tell it to do a new city. I guess. Not sure. Okay. So here you can alter, reroll names, points of interest, other world, export. Oh, and this is neat. So he has a link to Asgard Fantasy Map Generator. So this is the Twilight Church is the city right here. So this is another awesome. Oh wait, yeah. Can you see this, Eric?
It's very blurry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can't really see the details, Rob. You just kind of see blurry.
Right.
At least
this would generate an entire
continent, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So let me change the style to something more. So there. Is that a little bit better?
Yeah, I don't think. I think the streaming's not.
Yeah.
Not.
And the colors don't pop. I mean, so it's very. It's not. We get the idea.
Yeah. So anyway, I highly recommend it. Support the guy if you really like his stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's a great time saver if you need a town, a regional map right now.
So, well, I think that this might be a good place to wrap it up before we gave good information out this time, folks. Good stuff, and I'm actually a supporter of the Patreon already, but I forgot about that, and I checked. I went, "Oh, look at that! I'm already a supporter." So, but yeah,
surprise!
Surprise! It is worth the money. I mean, listen, there are certain patrons to support. I would even say go as far to say if you're using Dyson's maps, support him. I don't have to personally like the individual to say that he does good work for this community. And if you're going to use his stuff, especially commercially, you should be putting a few dollars, a few pennies in his pocket.
He's done a lot for the community. I mean, he's got his strong opinion, but he's done a lot for everybody. And all of his maps, you can't beat his maps and whatnot. Jackson will argue that point, but
Oh wow. Jackson gotta do more mapping, god damn it.
He does, yeah.
So folks, tomorrow night, 8 p.m. is a live stream, but I will probably also be sharing another live stream that's going to be going on at 5 p.m. Not my channel. If it goes as it should, there'll be an announcement tomorrow about what's going to go on in 2025. Interesting stuff. Other than that, thanks to Rob, thanks to Tim, thanks to my doppelganger on Blue Sky.
Nice.
Yeah, so if somebody is making politically strange comments that you think that doesn't sound like Tenkar, it's not me. All right, I am at Tenkar. Tenkar's Tavern is a forgery.
I joined one of you. I don't know which one I joined.
Oh well, I hope it's. Hey, listen, if I'm talking about maps,
Mhm.
then we're not talking about maps like here.
Right.
I like maps. If I'm talking like that, it ain't me. Okay,
Gotcha.
folks.
Wait a minute, Eric. One more thing, break. So Blue Sky. Do you follow stuff on Blue Sky?
I'm starting to. I had an account from September, but it was so quiet I didn't bother doing anything with it. But
Okay.
now with the recent mass, I don't know.
Surged in there. Yeah.
Yeah, with Facebook turning into welcome to LaGuardia.
Oh, I thought it was
My
X.
reading for Blue Sky are as follows, and then people are going, I'm leaving Twitter for Blue Sky.
Right. Yeah.
There's more activity going on there. Am I leaving Twitter? X? No. I can be on both places. This isn't a
Right.
zero sum, folks. It's not a zero
No.
sum. Okay,
Right.
we're not announcing any departures on this show. Just clear that up. So other than that, be safe, be well, God bless, roll those dice, roll them well. I'll catch you all